All right, we're live. What is up, people of planet Earth, Twitter, Periscope, YouTube, wherever you're watching? Andrew Erickson, Dwayne McFarland here to answer your fantasy football start or sit questions for week 2. We don't have any major question marks. A lot of the injuries have already been updated. They're reflected in the PFF rankings, so make sure you go check those out as well. Dwayne, how you doing on this Sunday morning? Are you ready for week 2?
I'm ready. I just went through 25 teams, making sure that if there's any last minute bids that I needed to do for this morning's run at the FFPC. So love fantasy football, but glad that part of my morning's over.
Yes, 100%. It's always fun setting up all those lineups. All right, we get some questions in here. So yeah, guys, feel free, feed us the questions. That's what we're here for you guys, not for us to banter. So first question here is Rager or Tyler Boyd? This one's Tyler Boyd for me. Yeah. All right. Two of the sharpest analysts in the business, Marv Jones. Appreciate that, Matt. Marvin Jones or Marquez Callaway? Dwayne.
I'm going Jones, but it's a close one. But for me, with Callaway, I just want to see it at this point. But his routes and everything were good. He was in a route almost 90% of the plays. Towards the end of the game, the Saints started taking out, some of the guys, and he was kind of rotated out a little bit as well. So I still think Callaway looks good, but Marvin Jones, we've already seen, show some rapport, score a touchdown. So I lean to him.
Yep, I agree. I got Marvin Jones ranked higher. Elijah Mitchell or T. Higgins? I guess we should probably just talk about Elijah Mitchell because we're probably going to get a lot of questions about him.
Yeah.
So Elijah Mitchell or T. Higgins? I will go T. Higgins.
T. Higgins.
Yep.
Okay, yep. Cool. T. Higgins.
All right. Just again with Mitchell, because I see a bunch of questions coming in with him. So where is he ranked for you? Are you looking to start a receiver over him if you have a receiver with more upside in your opinion, or thoughts on Mitchell, just so we can.
Yeah. So just to give people an idea of where I've got him. I've got him at RB 26 for the week. And so I've got him just above Kenyon Drake, below Kareem Hunt, below Damian Harris, below James Robinson, above Jamal Williams, slightly above Javonte Williams. But that's like the 6 players all right there together. He's in that mix. And so, if I'm talking about a player like T. Higgins or Jamar Chase or DJ Moore or not Terry McLaurin's already played, Chase Claypool even, all those types of guys, I'm going with the receiver. I do not trust the backfield right now for the Niners. I know you probably had to spend a lot of money to get Elijah Mitchell, but I wouldn't let that decision blind you when it comes to, making your start-sit decision. He could very well go off today and be the new back going forward, and that's great, and we can use that information next week. But in my opinion, if I've got a receiver that's close, I'm going to go with the receiver that I know is going to be on the field, because there is a chance this is a complete mess as a committee. Or Elijah Mitchell, would we be surprised, Andrew, with the way Shanahan is, if he didn't even start the game?
Yeah, again, there's a lot of question marks with Elijah Mitchell. So you have a locked and loaded receiver that you can see a path where he's going to get targets. It's a good matchup. Like T. Higgins, for example, has got a good matchup this week against the Bears. I think the Bears secondary is not good. So T. Higgins would be the spot. Yeah, I have Elijah Mitchell right kind of where you are. I have him at RB 29. So again, if you have to start him as your RB2 because you can't, you have to start 2 running backs.
All over it.
Yeah. You start him as your RB2. I think that's fine. But for flex appeal, I think that there's probably some receivers you can take. I will say, did hear on the radio that he did see the most reps with the starters at practice this week for the 49ers. So again, he's the guy you want to start. Like I'm not starting Sermon because I have no idea what his role could be. And Hasty, again, could also work in the goal line again. Like there's no reason to think that Hasty could score 2 touchdowns. Elijah Mitchell could have 60 rushing yards, scoreless rushing yards. So Drake or Kareem Hunt? I'm going Kareem Hunt.
I have them separated by 2. I just named them. It was Kareem Hunt, Elijah Mitchell, and Kenyon Drake all together in the same tier. So, but I do have Hunt listed first. He's got the smash matchup. Yeah, they're favored by 13.
Texans are just say yes to Texans, say no to Steelers. I think that's the way at least I look at it. Sutton, Boyd, or Elijah Mitchell. I'll go Sutton here as the alpha against Jacksonville.
What was it? Sutton, Boyd, or
Elijah Mitchell?
I'm going Sutton.
Yep. Okay. Agreed. All right. Worried about weather in Jacksonville. I don't know what the weather is. I need to pull that up.
I'm pulling it up too.
All right. So we'll get back to you, Evan Ross.
Okay.
Don't worry.
You go ahead. I'll pull that up.
All right. Allen Robinson or Debo Samuel. I'm going to go with Allen Robinson there.
Debo.
Sutton or James Conner. I'm going to go with Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, Sutton. Which team? So weather. Yeah. I'm pulling up the details. It is going to be rainy. It's like a 50% chance of rain like
What's the wind?
every quarter, but the wind is not bad.
Yeah, so
and that's
don't
the
matter.
main thing, guys.
Doesn't
Now,
matter.
if it's a torrential downpour, it does matter.
Yeah.
But if it's just going to be raining kind of on and off, it's not a big deal. Doesn't affect the receivers and quarterbacks as much as people think. The wind is the primary thing. When you see sustained winds of 20 or more in general, that's when it's bad. And some stadiums are not as bad as others. Gust, I don't care about. Like when I read, gusting up to 30, I don't give a shit. If it's, sustained is what we're looking for. And this looks okay. So don't let it push you, especially when you're talking about, some of your top options, don't let it push you off. If you've got a situation like this, and let's say you're choosing between, DJ Chark and, who's a downfield receiver, and you're worried, maybe there is a little bit of impact. And let's say you're looking at him versus like a Robbie Anderson, guys that are in the same tier. Well, then I'll lean to the player that doesn't have any weather concern, but otherwise I don't overthink it.
Cool. All right. Hopefully that answers your question, Evan Ross. So again, I'm still I wouldn't be concerned about Cortland Sutton. Again, the DBs have to deal with the wet field conditions too, and they can fall down. And then you have a wide open touchdown. So let's go with, all right, flex Deebo Samuel or Damian Harris half point PPR from Kyle West.
Deebo.
Yeah. Let's go with Deebo there. Ronald Jones or Antonio Brown? Antonio Brown, right?
All day.
All day. I get the matchup is good, like Dylan points out here, but we don't know it doesn't matter if the matchup is good if Ron Jones touches the ball 5 times. Like that's the concern. So we don't know what his role is going to be. So it doesn't necessarily matter. He can take advantage of the matchup if he's not playing enough. David Montgomery or Elijah Mitchell PPR. I'll go with Montgomery here because he's the bell cow and it's a good matchup.
I don't think that's close yet. Elijah Mitchell's got to show us more.
Yes.
Montgomery looked good last week, so you just got to roll with it. And they're letting him pretty much get all the touches on the ground. You want more in the receiving game, but we know what his role is.
Yep. Yeah, guys, if you picked up Elijah Mitchell, if you have other, look at your lineup. Like just because you spend a lot of money to get him in Fab, this is a guy who could potentially be more useful down the stretch. So you don't necessarily feel like you have to start him if you have him. Like if you're obviously stuck at running back, then yes, that's why you bid it up for him. But don't feel like you need to start him with so much uncertainty about his.
And as much as we care about practice reports and stuff, remember these are also the same beat writers. And no offense, but they had no clue that Trey Sermon wasn't even going to play. They had no clue. They all thought Trey Sermon and Raheem Mostert were in a deadlock for 1A, 1B. Every one of them.
Yes.
So don't overthink the practice report stuff. It's good. It's a positive. But again, this is also Kyle Shanahan. Like he changed his story 3 times this week on Ayuk. So don't read too much into it.
All right. Bridgewater or Ryan Tannehill? PPR. I guess it doesn't really matter. But
yes. Tannehill.
Yes, Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill does also have some wide receiver experience from college. So I guess I'll give him slightly in the PPR format.
That's a good call, Andrew. That's thinking on your feet right there, man.
Tyson Williams or Elijah Mitchell?
Elijah Mitchell.
Okay. I'm going to go with Tyson.
It's close. Same tier.
I'll go with Tyson. I just think that Tyson has... I think that running backs
you just want to say Tyson. Worst. We know this.
I do like Tyson pulled through last week when we were all in on him. So I'll go back to Tyson. Sutton or Beasley, full point PPR.
Sutton.
Yeah, that one's
cool. I like Beasley a lot, but look, Sutton's the alpha with Judy out. I know we got to worry about the knee coming back, but man, I want that upside. I know that Sutton gives me 100 yards and 2 touchdown upside.
Yep. And he's playing the Jags. They're terrible.
And they have a bunch of Jags playing cornerback.
Okay.
Dad joke. You're supposed to laugh, Andrew.
Tyson Williams or CEH? I think some people are concerned about CEH.
CEH.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah. T. Higgins or Devonta
Sleep like
Smith?
A baby.
T. Higgins or Devonta Smith?
T. Higgins.
Agreed. Mike Williams or Devonta Smith?
Mike Williams this week. Rest of the season, I like Devonta Smith still. I like him more for the rest of the way. But yes, for this week, I definitely go with Mike Williams in a shootout with the Cowboys.
There is no reason why Mike Williams should not deliver today.
Yes.
And if he does, again, the guy always seems to get banged up at the worst times, but you got to play Mike Williams this week. You got to play him this week.
Hey, that the decreased ADOT could also help decrease the injury rate.
Yeah, where he's literally not sacrificing his body to go lay out for balls.
Yes.
Okay, guys. Elijah Mitchell or AJ Brown? AJ Brown. You do not need to overthink the Elijah Mitchell thing. Yes, he was explosive last week, but do not start him over these locked and loaded wide receivers. Come on. All right. Mike Davis or Antonio Brown? I'll go Antonio Brown. Full point PPR.
Yeah, full point. I'm going Antonio Brown. Mike Davis real quick. He just concerned me last week. I know he got decent volume.
He's running through cement, man. He's running through cement. Especially
He is, and they gave Patterson actually more than I thought he would get. And so it's just uneasy. I'm not saying, I think Mike Davis is still a fine RB2 if you're really loaded a receiver in other spots and you're just kind of trying to, muddle your way through the season at your RB2 spot. Not a player I want to be depending on. And I just don't like the matchup. They're a 12.5-point dog. The running game could be out the window by middle of first quarter. They're only implied points 19.5. Their strength of schedule is a 2.26, which is one of the worst on the slate this weekend. So it's just a bad spot for Mike Davis, period, this weekend, plus what we saw last week with utilization.
Yeah, you're hoping that Mike Davis bails you out with a bunch of receptions, but if you're banking on reception anyway, just play a wide receiver. Like that's the way.
I mean, we've got projected for 17 touches, 12.4 attempts and 4.3 targets, so I guess 16.7 opportunities. Those targets may not be receptions. I mean, so it's still a decent opportunity workload that we haven't projected for. It's just, there's just too many questions, and Antonio Brown just looks really good right now. And the opposite side of that game, right, is the Bucks, and they're expected to score a ton of points. So I want a piece of that passing pie.
Yes. All right. Halfway PPR, pick two guys: Tyson, Marquise Brown, Jalen Waddle, Christian Kirk, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and Javonte Williams.
Dear Lord, I'm gonna have to write this down.
Okay.
Where's that? Do you have it up? Do you have it highlighted?
Yeah, it should be up there.
Okay, you do. Okay, never mind.
Cool.
I was like, God, I don't get my damn notepad. Old dude. You go first. Let me think.
I want to start Waddle because there's no Will Fuller, and I think that Miami will probably have to play a little more up tempo than they did last week. And Waddle looked really good last week. I don't think you should feel bad about starting Waddle at all. I mean, he played really well as a rookie in his first game, so let's see.
And now Fuller's out, so he's going to be out there 90% of the routes again.
I think Waddle's solid, and probably
Javonte.
Yeah, either Javonte or Tyson. Javonte led the team in carries last week. Yes, Melvin Gordon did have the big run, but that could easily be Javonte Williams gets the big run this week. Again, it gets a bad run defense. So
I will say here's what I would say. MVS is out for me. Hollywood's out just because of the injury concern, like usual. Yeah. If he's healthy, it's fine. But so for me, this one really comes down to Waddle, Javonte, Tyson, and Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk, I think, is the wide receiver too. I know that AJ Green is technically on the field a little bit more, but the targets per route, the third down routes, the end zone targets, all that kind of stuff all lines up for Kirk. And if they're in a more competitive game, I expect a lot more routes out of Kirk. And so I think he carries big upside every week. And I think his downside is probably like 4 for 40. So he's either going to give you, in this format, he's going to give you 6, but he could give you 20. So that's, I would lean to Waddle, like you said, and probably Christian Kirk. And I have Javonte and Tyson in the same bucket.
All right. Deontay or Damian Harris, half-point PPR. Deontay, yeah. Jamar Chase is a play this week. 100%.
Yeah.
100% play Jamar Chase. Justin Herbert or Josh Allen?
Josh Allen.
Yes.
I mean, Herbert's in a smash spot, but I'm never benching Josh Allen.
No. Guys, why do you have to trade one of those guys? You don't need 2 elite quarterbacks like that on your roster. Try to trade one of them. Jamar Chase or James Robinson at flex? Jamar Chase.
Yep.
Jamar Chase or Corey Davis?
Jamar Chase.
Yes. Antonio Brown or James Robinson? Antonio Brown for me in half-point PPR.
I lean to James Robinson on this one, but it's a close call.
Okay. Juju or Julio Jones, full-point PPR?
Julio barely.
Yeah. Guys,
Julio's hanging by a thread, man.
I know Julio sucked last week, but this is what he always does. Whenever he's super chalky in DFS one week, he sucks. And then the next week he always just goes.
He totally pays attention to all that, and he knows. So he's like, screw these people. He doesn't like people. Julio Jones doesn't.
Yes. So
especially Andrew.
I think Julio has way more upside than Smith-Schuster does. I think, yeah. So
I agree with that. Like if you were to say who's going to score, you got to pick one player to score 2 touchdowns today. Like 10 times out of 10, we're going to pick Julio.
Yes. 110%. Christian Kirk, DJ Chark, or Rager, full point PPR. I'll go with Kirk.
I lean slightly. Who do I lean with? I better look at my rankings because somebody's going to go look at them. Let me make sure.
Do as I say, not as I do on the rankings page.
No, I actually do try to be like really good about this, but sometimes we're going so fast. Sorry. Yeah, so I've got Chark at so I got Chark at 36. And then so I've got Christian Kirk right behind him. So I've got Chark ahead. I mean, Chark, man, like almost had like 200 air yards last week. Now, True. I know like 3 of the passes were like in the wrong zip code, but I mean, so he and Lawrence got some things to work out, but he's still a young potential ascending talent. So I go with Chark.
All right, I changed my answer. I checked my rankings. I have Chark, so we'll go with DJ Chark.
Holding us accountable, folks.
I apologize. Elijah Mitchell or Javonte Williams, full point PPR. Neither of them are really involved in the passing game that much. So I'll go Javonte.
Yeah, I've got Elijah 2 spots ahead of Javonte.
Okay. Tyson or Elijah Mitchell?
We've answered this one. I go Elijah. You said Tyson.
Yes, sirree. All right. Do you think Dallas defense will target Mike Williams and shadow him all game after what he said? Tampa Bay receivers having fun versus Dallas. As the Dallas expert, Dwayne, can you read in on this? Is Trevon Diggs shadowing Mike Williams? Like, what's the deal?
So there's a couple things. One, I don't know that we know that Trevon Diggs is really good yet. He's had a good game.
Yes.
He had a good game. Now the Cowboys coaching staff, they do love him. And he's one of those cornerbacks that you see the flashes of he's very aggressive. He'll overplay things, but he's confident in himself. So I'm bullish on Diggs as a cornerback for his career. We're a little early. The other thing is, I don't know that Mike Williams is proven enough to be shadowed either. He's had one good game. And so you still got to worry about Keenan Allen. So there's a lot of things that go into this, and Keenan lines up in the slot. So depending on if they're going to play zone or whatever, like they could choose to really want to have Diggs more on Allen's side of the field, even though Allen could be in the slot. There's a lot of variables that go into this stuff. So I would not overthink it. And even if he did shadow him, I don't know that means anything to us yet.
Yeah. And again, Mike Williams, what's his game? He goes up and wins the ball. He had 4 contested catches receivers. So it doesn't even matter if Trevon Diggs is covering him. Justin Herbert's still shown, at least last week, he's going to throw him the ball anyway. So, and Mike Williams makes plays when the ball's in the air. That's his game. So it really may not matter as much. Whereas last week, Tom Brady was like, no, I'm just not going to throw it to Mike Evans because Antonio Brown is, 3 yards wide open. Same thing with Chris Godwin. So I think that Mike Williams, look, guys, don't overthink Mike Williams. I think he's in a good spot. Yes, is it possible he doesn't have as high of a ceiling as he did last week? Sure. But I don't think
the biggest problem for Mike Williams is once Eckler gets involved in the passing game.
Yep.
Like once that horse gets out of the gate, like that's going to be where it's like, okay, now how are they dividing up all these targets? So the main thing you're looking for is for Eckler, if he's still just kind of on the mend and they're not going to 100% use him. Once that happens, though, there's going to be probably a player each week that we're a little less happy with out of this trio. But Williams, to me, has shown enough in the way that they're utilizing him and deploying him that I want, I wish I owned more is what I would say.
Yeah. I mean, look, they told us in the offseason that he was going to kind of play that X receiver role and he was going to have more targets. And so far through week 1, that's exactly what happened. So let's not try to overthink it here with Mike Williams. Jameis Winston or Ryan Tannehill?
Winston.
I'll go with Ryan Tannehill.
Actually, no, I have Tannehill too. Just still above. Yep.
Dude, it's the PPR bump. You got to give Tannehill the
bump. I gave him the PPR bump. You're right.
Tom Brady or Russell Wilson PPR?
Russ, man, these are 2 great quarterbacks to have this. I got Russ number 2 in my ranks. I mean, he's got a 54-point total, competitive game.
Yeah, I got Russ at 4, so I'm going Russ.
Yeah, I got Brady at 4, and I have Russ at 2. So I love both, but I'm leaning Russ because both are in smash spots, but Russ also gives you the potential with the legs.
Yeah. And again, so let's go with Russ. Kareem Hunt or Corey Davis, half-point PPR. I'll go with Kareem Hunt.
Half point. I'm still going to go with Corey Davis on this one, but it is a really good matchup like we talked about for Hunt.
Mark Ingram or Elijah Mitchell. I'm not playing Mark Ingram. Start him at
Ever.
Mitchell.
Yep.
Guys, Mark Ingram, if you can sell high on a guy you picked up off the waiver wire somehow, do it. Trade Mark Ingram now.
Because some guy in a high stakes league, put 1,000% of his money on Mark Ingram.
He's never going to have that good of a game ever again this season.
They'll never lead that much again, ever.
Oh man.
For the next 3 years.
Yeah. Mike Williams or Julio Jones. I'm going to go Julio here.
I have Mike Williams 2 spots ahead of Julio Jones. I have Mike Williams at wide receiver 23. Sorry, 3 spots. I have Julio Jones at 26.
Marquez Valdez-Scantling or James Conner, PPR. I'm going to go with MVS. I think MVS has a lot of upside. We got the targets last week with MVS. Just the Packers offense just sucked as a whole, and he's playing the Lions. And James Conner had kind of like a perfect game script for him that Cardinals are up big, and he scored like 6 fantasy points. So I'll go with MVS.
MVS is a matchup play. I mean, talk about a player that never comes through when you want him to. That's MVS. But the matchup is definitely there. Great implied points. Wide receiver strength of schedule is a 10 out of a 10. So,
yeah. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is going to probably throw like 5 touchdowns. So, and chances are at least maybe MVS can come down with one of them. I like.
Well, yeah, and the good news is it'll probably be a 60-yarder. So that's the bonus of MVS is like you just need one play from the guy. Mm-hmm. If he gives you 2 or 3 in a game, I mean, you're really in luck.
Here's a tough one for me, at least. Hurts or Herbert? I have them ranked back to back with Herbert slightly.
Yeah, but this week I'm going with Herbert. And I love the legs of Hurts, and I would have, I had Hurts ranked ahead of Herbert in my season-long, rankings for drafting purposes. But if you have Herbert on your team, you don't get a better smash spot than this. Total of 55 points, implied points of 29. Got a decent schedule. Yeah, I mean, this is the week to use Herbert of all weeks.
Yeah. I mean, I think if he will tie the record for the most 300-yard passing games by a second-year quarterback today if he hit passes for 300 yards. So I like those odds. Brady or Herbert?
Brady.
Yes, I'll agree.
I have Brady at 4. I have Herbert at 9 this week.
I have Brady at 5. I have Herbert at 7. All right, let's go. Kareem
Jesus,
Hunt.
where do you have Hurts at then? That made it so hard for you. You have him at 8?
Well, I have it at 8, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Kareem Hunt or Chase Edmonds. I really like Chase Edmonds this week. I'm really high on him. He's a top 20 guy for me. He got 16 touches last week, and he's explosive. And they're playing the Vikings without like half their defense. So I like Chase Edmonds.
I don't have that one really close. I have Edmonds at 17, and I have Kareem Hunt at 25.
Boom. Chase Edmonds. Yes, guys, if anyone's watching this, your question mark about Chase Edmonds, start Chase Edmonds. He's in a really good spot. Mike Davis or Jamal Williams? I'll go Mike Davis. He's a starter. Jamal Williams is not.
Mike Davis.
Not thrilled about either guy, but Waddle or Damian Harris?
So on this one, it's really close, but I would go Damian Harris. What is it? Is this PPR or non?
We didn't get
it. Didn't say. Okay.
We did
not. If it's PPR, it gets closer, but I would still lean Harris.
Yep,
Harris had the fumble last week, but you know what? He did look good, and he got utilized a little more in the pass game than I thought he would.
26 touches for Damian Harris, which was one of the highest on the week last week. So again, I think that we overanalyze things. Like, Belichick had never had a rookie quarterback ever until this year. So maybe he doesn't do the same thing with the fumbles. Like, we don't know. Guys trying to change their takes on certain things. Marquez Callaway or Mike Davis, PPR?
Mike Davis.
Yeah, Mike Davis. Dak Prescott or Jameis Winston?
Dak.
Jalen Waddle or Zach Pascal?
Waddle.
Yes. What about if there are Colts receivers that are out? Does that change your opinion?
Don't care.
Okay, I agree. Ronald Jones or Jamal Williams? I'll go with Rojo, even though I want to hate myself for it.
No, Jamal Williams. I don't have those two close. I have Jamal Williams at 28. I have Rojo at 39.
I'm going Rojo. It's a starter. They got 3 starters.
At least Detroit only has 2.
When Bruce Arians said that, I just thought about
it's simple math.
When it's like
2 starters versus 3.
When everybody's a starter, nobody's a starter. It's exactly what I thought of when Bruce Arians said that. Just like, so nobody. Okay, great.
Look at this awesome mug my wife got me.
Yes.
How dorky is that?
Love it. Vampire. All right.
Dad killer.
Dak or Jalen Hurts?
Dak.
Javonte or Tim Patrick, PPR?
Javonte.
Agreed. Robert Woods or Mike Evans? I'm going Mike Evans.
Man, I'm a little worried about Robert Woods. Only in a route 68% of the plays last week, and I went back and broke it down drive by drive, just saying, did they just take him out at the end of the game? No, he was rotating the whole time. So Jefferson was out there 86%. Kupp was out there 100% of the routes. Higbee 93% of the routes. 86% for Van Jefferson, and then Deshaun Jackson was like 35%, and Woods was at 68. He was rotating with Deshaun Jackson and Van Jefferson. And I'm like, what the heck? So, I mean, maybe he was hurt and we don't know, and he was playing through an injury, but antenna is definitely up on Robert Woods. My gut would say it was just an injury thing. He should be fine. I don't want to overthink it. But if I have any kind of call to make today, like that one that you just threw out there, I'm going to go with the other guy. That's, if anything, that's close.
TJ Hawkinson or Jamar Chase, PPR?
Ooh.
I'm going with Chase.
I love that. I love these kind of questions. I'm going Hawkinson.
Whenever I cannot play a tight end, I choose a wide receiver.
Yeah, but there's certain tight ends that are really good to play. TJ Hawkinson being one.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I like Jamar Chase.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Mark the spot on the tape.
Laviska, Shenault, Sutton, or Waddle? I will go with Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, Sutton.
Yeah, a lot of Sutton.
Not close. It's not close.
I know Sutton didn't.
I have Sutton at 25. Where do you have him?
I have him at, I think, 29.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've got him as a top. I got him as a wide receiver 2 this week in 12-team leagues. So,
yeah, I think he's in a good
right
spot.
There, borderline.
I get the targets weren't there last week, but now we have a reason to think, well, Jerry Jeudy's not playing anymore. So you have a reason.
It was a tough matchup too. James Bradbury is the worst type of matchup for a receiver like Sutton. A big-bodied receiver that uses his frame to catch contested balls and stuff. Bradbury's tough on those types, on that archetype of receiver, and so that's part of it. The injury's probably part of it, but to your point, like it's him and Fant now, and then it's going to be Patrick and Hamler.
Another tight end Chase question: Jamar Chase or Kyle Pitts?
Jamar Chase.
Yes, I agree. Jamar Chase. Tyler Higbee or Waddle? Touchdown heavy format. I mean, I guess I'll go. I would probably say Higbee probably has more touchdown equity than Jalen Waddle does.
I mean, it's really close. It's similar to the questions we've been asking. So I would think you would just stay with Waddle. Like if you don't.
Well, he got the touchdown. He got the touchdown last week, so I'm going to assume that's going to come down. It's going to be Parker this week, so I'll go back to Higbee.
Okay, yeah. So in that format, I'm going to go with Waddle on that one. Right. But it's close. It's really close. Just to contradict myself.
Laviska Shenault or Christian Kirk?
I've got those two pretty close, but I give a slight edge to Shenault.
Yeah, Laviska Shenault does have the worst matchup per PFF's wide receiver cornerback matchup chart. So just an FYI, if you want. I don't know how high his ceiling is this week. Whereas Kirk, I mean, if he is really that wide receiver too, like you talked about.
If you're looking for the ceiling, I do agree that it's Kirk. I don't think Laviska Shenault has much of a ceiling. Period. Like I just don't. He's not a game breaker. He's got to rip off after the catch, huge, 80. But even then, he's not fast enough to really do it. He breaks tackles.
He's gonna run over guys.
He runs over guys, yes. But honestly, Kirk is a better receiver than Laviska Shenault. So,
hot take by Dwayne. Love it. It's probably not that hot. He was better last week. So, let's go with Fant or Gronk, PPR, James White or Myles Gaskin. Same format.
So I'm going Gaskin easy, and then on the tight end, I have them ranked right next to each other this week, but I have Fant one spot ahead of Gronk.
I agree. I go with Fant and Myles Gaskin. Mooney, Mooney or Hard? I'm assuming it's Hard man. I'll go Darnell Mooney.
What's happening?
I'll go Darnell Mooney. I don't know if McCall
is Mooney complete. Is Mooney completely out of the woods? I know he was last week was a neck. This week's a back.
Yeah, but he still played. What he was running around.
No, he did. I'm just asking.
I think he's good. He's going to.
Yeah, I have him. I have him the same tier. It goes Hardman, Pittman, Mooney in the same tier. So I don't want to play either one of these guys. Give me the guy that plays with Patrick Mahomes for a prayer.
Oh man. Nicole Harmon just still praying that he gets involved in the offense.
He's so terrible. He's terrible. He's so terrible. But his quarterback's not Andy Dalton. It's what do you do? These decisions.
All right. Javonte or Tyson Williams? I'm going Tyson.
I've already said Javonte once on that one, so I better stick with it.
I'm going to hedge and just say the other guy. Depends on what time you tune into the stream, you get different answers.
Again, I have them both in tier 4. Yeah. I got them 4 spots apart. They're very similar, but I lean to Javonte, who handled half the carries last week for the team. I think Tyson last week I loved him because I thought he'd get maybe half, but then when he couldn't even hardly keep that, with literally a guy that just came off the street coming in, and now we're going to have more backs active. I just think Tyson's going to get his work split up more. And the Ravens running game just looked like crap. Like their offensive line looks terrible.
Well, I'm hoping that Tyson did look decent in the passing game, which I enjoyed.
He did.
He did good as a receiver. And if they're trying to catch up, which I mean, Lamar's history against the Chiefs has not been good. He's struggled against the Chiefs defense. So I think that they're probably going to be trying to play catch up. And
I think the Chiefs are going to thrash the Ravens today.
Yep. So showdown slate. You want to do Chiefs onslaught. That's the
onslaught. Seriously.
It's
the offensive line stuff, man. But
yeah. It's a big problem. Naheem Hines or Elijah Mitchell, PPR.
Mitchell. It's just the upside. Technically we have them projected very close in points, but Mitchell definitely has the upside.
Would you change it all if the Colts are down more wide receivers, and we could see Hines like almost operate as like a pseudo wide receiver? Because I mean,
which is kind of what we saw last week towards the end of the game. That might swing it for me, but I would still say if you're in a spot where you're like, you feel like you need the 2 touchdown upside, and not to say Hines can't give you that. We saw him have a couple of those games last year. So, but I think Mitchell, if it did surprise us and he came out and just owned the whole backfield for the Niners, that would be a no brainer, right? Mm-hmm. We know Hines is not going to have that happen. That's not in his range. So if I thought I wanted the upside, I'm going with Mitchell. If you feel like you've got kind of a cake matchup and you're really strong elsewhere and you just want to lock down the 12 points, then I would go with Hines.
What's up next? Cortland Sutton or Brandon Cooks, PPR.
Sutton.
Cortland Sutton. I'll go Cooks there. I will go Cooks. The Browns looked like they could not cover any speed wide receivers last week. So Brandon Cooks, let's fire him up. Jacoby Myers or Bryan Edwards? Jacoby Myers. 100%. Yep. KJ Hamler, Emmanuel Sanders, or Michael Pittman.
Emmanuel Sanders, easy.
Yeah,
Emmanuel
Sanders is probably the best play. Hamler, I like this week, but he could literally go out and have 0 targets, especially because the Broncos run a lot 12 personnel, and Hamler's probably not going to be on the field for those plays. Corey Davis or Kenyon Drake, PPR.
Corey Davis.
Corey Davis or Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson. Devontae Smith or Cortland Sutton.
Cortland.
Cortland Sutton. Mike Evans.
Somebody trying to trip us up. I've already answered that one once.
Mike Evans or Jarvis Landry standard. Mike Evans. Easy. Mike Evans is catching 2 touchdowns today. It's happening. This is a screaming bounce back spot against Atlanta. This is going to happen every single week. We're going to talk about Saquon Barkley bounce back against Atlanta. Mike Evans bounce back against Atlanta. It's going to be the bounce back team is just to target Atlanta. Darrell Henderson or Chase Edmonds.
Darrell Henderson. Henderson, until we see Michelle get involved, like Henderson's an RB1. Like he should be treated like an RB1.
Yep, I agree. Damian Harris or James Robinson?
Damian.
Yep. Just got here, but would I start TJ Hawkinson? Yes. Start TJ Hawkinson. Corey Davis or Devontae Parker?
Those I have right next to each other, but I would go Corey Davis, but yep. They're close. Same tier.
I agree, Corey Davis. Javonte Williams or Chase Claypool?
Claypool.
Yes, they're playing the Raiders. Please.
And it's PPR. So.
Just Big Ben looks so terrible. Last week, he's like lobbing the ball up in the air. Chase Claypool's making these like acrobatic great catches. Just like
I honestly wonder, and I like Ben. He's been a great player, but it does feel like it's close to over. I do kind of just wonder, like, would they be better off playing the quarterback that they can actually do all the things they want to do with, right? Like get under center, go play action, run the boots, all that kind of stuff. Because Ben just can't do it. Like he's I feel like they're kind of locked in. If they want to let Ben run the offense, it's like, I don't know how much they can use all this stuff Canada wants to do. But if Mason Rudolph just sucks and looks terrible in practice, that's what they may have to shift back to more to what they looked like last year.
All right, let's go with Christian Kirk or Tyler Boyd, PPR.
Tyler Boyd.
Yes, Tyler Boyd. Jamar Chase or Elijah Mitchell?
Jamar Chase, easy.
Chase, T. Higgins or Cortland Sutton, PPR.
Higgins.
I agree. T. Higgins. Elijah Mitchell or James Robinson, flex spot, half point PPR.
I've got James Robinson slightly ahead.
I'm going with James Robinson as well. Corey Davis or Jalen Waddle, full point PPR.
Corey Davis.
Yes, I agree. Lamb, Williams, Mitchell, PPR flex, Lamb.
Lamb.
1000% Lamb. Elijah Mitchell or Robert Woods. So I know you mentioned that you were concerned about Robert Woods. Would you start Elijah Mitchell over Robert Woods?
No, you know what? I'm still going to go with Robert Woods in that situation.
Okay.
So earlier, it was against Mike Evans. So,
Yes.
I mean, a player of similar ilk. I don't consider Elijah Mitchell to be in the conversation with Robert Woods yet.
Agreed. Jared Cook or Kyle Pitts? Kyle Pitts. Do not. Kyle Pitts got good usage last week. Don't freak out and
trade for Kyle Pitts now. Trade for Kyle Pitts now.
Yes. He's probably going to have a
I don't know why I'm saying everything twice.
Jamar Chase or CEH?
Oh man, oh my God, this is probably one of the closer ones we've had, but I would say right now I got to go with Jamar Chase, but it's close, man. I mean,
I got Edwards-Helaire higher. I'm going CEH.
Yeah. You know what? I do too. Like when I'm scrolling over just to my overalls, but I mean, you know how rankings are. Like we have guys are all in the same range.
Yes.
They're really a tier. It's just like the way when we're drafting. But
we have to rank somebody. We have to rank that. We can't rank guys at the same number. They have to go in a certain chronological order. So
yeah. So it is Edwards-Helaire. You're right, but it's way closer than I would want that to be in my head for Edwards-Helaire owners.
Damian Williams or Jalen Waddle? Go with Jalen Waddle.
Yeah.
Javonte or James White?
Javonte.
Yes, I agree. Javonte. Antonio Brown or Juju? Antonio Brown.
Yep.
Man, that's wild. Antonio Brown, after all these years, is still being ranked ahead of Juju. Wild. Deontay or Mike Williams, half point PPR. I'm still going with Deontay. The target share is too high. Sorry.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. Deontay.
All right. Mike Williams or Jamar
I've
Chase?
I've got Deontay at wide receiver 16 this week. So
he's
a way better matchup. He had a tough matchup last week and still came through with a touchdown. So
I have him at 19. So Mike Williams or Jamar Chase?
Chase.
Yes, Jamar Chase as well. Devontae Smith or Jalen Waddle? Devonta Smith.
Yes.
Tyler Lockett or Mike Williams?
Tyler Lockett.
Yes, agreed. Deontay or Debo?
That one I've got Deontay still slightly ahead of Debo. I've got Mike Evans at 15, Deontay 16, Adam Thielen 17, and Debo 18. So it's very close, but I've got it slightly ahead to Deontay. I would not blame somebody if they wanted to use Debo.
I got him swapped. I got Debo in front of Deontay. I mean, Debo
Debo
saw like half the targets last week, and
especially
because a lot of times they will just manufacture touches for him too. He just seems like such a focal point of the offense, at least after
he
week
seems like an absolute freaking steal right now.
Yep. Well, yeah, I mean, especially because Brandon Ayuk's stock has basically just it's gone. Like we knew that
Brandon Ayuk is near like penny stock status now.
I mean, we knew that whatever, the 49ers, the way their offense was going to operate was if there was ever a chance where someone got one of those three players got kind of like scripted out of the offense, we knew the other two would just like become monsters. Like we saw all of last year when Ayuk was super productive, it's because the other guys weren't playing. And with Ayuk not playing, it became the Debo show. And you could see George Kittle have a big game. George Kittle friggin' absolutely lit up the Eagles last year when they played. So yeah, you got to go with Debo. You got to roll with the hot guy. Chris Godwin.
I will fall out of my chair if Kyle Shanahan keeps the complete crap going to now turn George Kittle into a blocker.
Oh yeah, like what his routes run.
Could you imagine?
He was he ran like 18 routes.
It
was absurd.
It's like if Kyle Shanahan keeps this up, I've been a truther for forever. But basically, like he should just be like in a back room somewhere drawing up the scheme, but not allowed to talk to any players or make any decisions about who starts or who should be drafted. He's so knee-jerky, Willie. He's like back and forth, and I love him schematically. Like there's no one better.
Mm-hmm.
No one better.
Mm-hmm. Chris Godwin or Elijah Mitchell? Chris Godwin.
Oh yeah.
Are there any? You're starting all the Bucs receivers over Elijah Mitchell, right?
I mean, the one that would get close would be Brown, but I'm still going to start Brown.
Okay.
I mean, I've got Brown at wide receiver 24 this week because this matchup is nuts.
Yeah, I know and the only reason you can't, and it's Brown just sees less snaps than Godwin and Mike Evans, so it's kind of why you can't. It's tough to rank them ahead, but we saw last week Antonio Brown Brady loves targeting him, It's like Godwin or okay, we already answered that question. Robbie Anderson. Oh, where did that go? All right. Godwin or Mitchell? We already answered that question. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, Godwin,
Myles Gaskin, Damian Harris.
This really matters if this is a PPR question or not on this one. So in a standard format, I'm going with Damian Harris. In a PPR, I'm going to lean to Gaskin.
I have Damian 2 spots ahead of Gaskin in half-point PPR. So yeah, I agree. I echo your sentiment. If it's PPR, go Gaskin. If it's anything less than that, then I would go with Damian Harris. Antonio Brown or Jamar Chase? Jamar Chase?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Superflex, Sam Darnold or go with Antonio Brown, Deontay Johnson, or Mike Williams?
Quarterback.
Superflex. Yep. It's just you lock in like the 15 or so points and you go on and carry on with your day. David Montgomery or Najee Harris? You got to play Najee. You got to play Najee.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Look, this is the smash spot for Najee. He's playing the Raiders. They suck. He got 100% snaps.
Najee's just, if you own Najee, you just play him every week. You don't ever, I mean, when a player gets 100% of the snaps, you just play them at running back.
Robert Woods, Deontay, or Antonio Brown at flex? Deontay.
Yes.
Right, cool. Debo or Darrell Henderson, PPR?
Darrell Henderson.
Question for you. So Darrell Henderson only had, was it like 2 targets last week? Do you think he'll see more targets? I know he ran a lot of routes with.
Yeah. Yes. So yeah, I don't think because of the way they want to push the ball down the field, I don't think he's ever going to be like a 20% target player, but I don't expect it to be at 4%. So I think you're easily going to have weeks where he'll be 15%, he'll be 10%, he'll be 5%. But I mean, played 94% of the snaps, 67% of the rushing attempts, was in a route on 79% of the passing plays. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, and that's the driver to where the receptions, that's a big part of it. You want to know that they're in the route. So Henderson, like I said, he should be he's an RB1 right now to me. So I'm going to use him over Debo.
All right. Question about Jonathan. I assume this is Jonathan Taylor, but Jonathan Taylor, Chase Edmonds, guys, like start Jonathan Taylor. Like I don't think this is too hard. I mean, Jonathan Taylor Dwayne, did you like the usage for Jonathan Taylor for the most part? I know it wasn't perfect because
it's what I expected.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as long as you didn't think he was going to take Nyheim Hines' receiving role, which you never should have thought because Nyheim Hines is a receiver, you're fine with where JT is. And JT's in a good spot. He gets Eric Fisher today. You're going to have Nelson playing, which is huge with Aaron Donald on the other side of the ball. So, look, they were designing plays for him. 3 of his targets came on play action or screen plays. He's getting more first looks than a running back typically gets. So I think they know their receivers are all average to below average, and they're trying to really use the running backs to get the passing game going. Them in Detroit are eerily similar, like
because the receivers suck. Yeah,
right, exactly. And how much they're trying to have to scheme things up to get the ball. So even though he wasn't out there as much as you want, like what I just said with Darrell Henderson, he wasn't anywhere close to that because they're targeting him quite a bit when he is on the field. I think that's positive for JT owners overall. It's honestly walking away from it. I thought it was the best case you could have hoped for JT.
Yeah. Yeah. I like JT a lot. JT's really going really under the radar.
He's a smash play today in DFS.
Yes.
Yes. You got to go with him. It's the week. Yeah. Yes. It's the week.
Yeah.
Now Ian did the damn helicopter. So we'll see.
Now it's going to, but I'm glad that we're all kind of, but Jonathan Taylor, super low rostership from the projections that we've had over at pff.com. And look, guys, Dave Montgomery rushed for over 100 yards against this Rams defense last week. Like, yes,
my 2 favorite players this week in DFS are Justin Jefferson, low own, and Jonathan Taylor. Anytime I can get 2 studs that nobody else wants, like it makes your DFS weekend pretty simple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want to play good players that are low rostered. You can find plenty of bad players that are low rostered. You want to find good players that are low rostered. So I like that.
And that's where you just say you just fade the matchups and everything. You just bet on the player.
Yep. Will the Patriots trust Damian Harris? Should I bench him in fantasy? I would not bench Damian Harris.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
They're playing the Jets. He's going to.
I think it's a valid question that we're concerned about. But yeah, I'm not. It's like you said, way too many touches last week to not be considered. Somebody you're going to play.
Yeah.
JJ Taylor will take over the backfield today.
I mean, it'll be interesting if he's active, though. I think that.
I'm watching for that.
Yeah.
Like, actually,
that is something that's would definitely kind of like, draw an eyebrow up for me.
I put in for JJ Taylor in my really deep, like, high stakes leagues this morning for
Hey, I
like
think it's
men
smart.
bids. Yeah, these are 20 players on these rosters. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I think
I'm
it's
with you.
smart. Debo or Dale Henderson? You said Henderson. I think we
Yep.
might answer that question. So we'll do a couple more questions here, guys, before we wrap up here. Damian Harris or Chase Edmonds? Chase Edmonds for me.
Yes. Edmonds.
Julio or AJ Brown? AJ Brown.
Yeah.
Peyton Barber, 150 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yes. Why not?
Dude.
It's the
You
world
know,
of
like
John
something
Gruden.
weird's gonna happen with Peyton Barber against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. Of course, he's gonna just like stumble into 3 touchdowns. He's gonna have 3 carries for 3 touchdowns for 3 yards.
I just thought that my favorite part of the quote from John Gruden is, "We're excited to see what we have in Peyton Barber." You don't know what Peyton Barber is. I mean, there's only 5 years of film on the dude. Like, I don't think you need to be excited to see what you have.
And he was
You
only
already know.
He was only watching Tampa Bay Peyton Barber.
Yeah, he
film.
missed the most recent year.
He's not watching anything from his past like that we've seen where he's just
God.
been total dust. Antonio Brown or T. Higgins PPR? Going T. Higgins.
Oh yeah. T. Higgins.
AJ Green or Tyler Boyd? Tyler Boyd. All right. And last question here. Keenan Allen or Ezekiel Elliott? That's a weird question.
PPR going with Keenan Allen. Otherwise, it's Zeke.
Yeah, maybe it's like more of a DFS question, but yeah, Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen, I think I have in like every DFS lineup I built today. So look, he needs like a legendary game. Like he's always so underrated. You know, he's a great route runner and just doesn't always get talked about with these other receivers. And I just think that today we could see just like a massive game of Keenan Allen. So excited for that. Last question.
Are you just stacking up Allen and Cooper?
Mostly
Allen and Lamb.
Allen and
Everybody's
Lamb.
gonna stack that game.
Yeah,
if I'm ahead in the early slate, if I'm ahead and we get to that, I'm getting off of all those guys.
Yeah,
their rostership's going to be so huge.
Yeah, until we all galaxy brain ourselves and everybody gets off of it, and then they end up not being his roster because we talked.
I've actually seen that. Yes, I've actually seen that happen before. So.
It's weird, but yeah, I'm just gonna try to play the best plays. It's my credo. All right, Henderson or Damian Harris PPR. Last question.
Henderson. Yeah, easy.
All right, then we'll do a tough
10 spot.
Hines or Kenyon Drake PPR.
Yeah, man, that's close, but I've got Drake slightly ahead. But I mean, they're right there together. It's like you said, it's a terrible matchup for Drake. But here's why I like Drake is we know that Hines is going to be boxed in and limited to some role because you have JT. There's a chance Drake gets everything, even though it's a crappy matchup against the Steelers. Yeah, and look, they're going to have to throw the ball to the backs against the Steelers. I don't think they're going to be very successful running it, and then that's where Drake comes in.
Yep. Take the over on Kenyon Drake, 19.5 receiving yards. I took the over.
Yeah. That is a good one.
I feel very good about it over on prizepicks.com. Go check that out. There are some soft lines. Took the Danny Amendola under 27 yards receiving. I do not think he can repeat what he did again last week. So we'll see. All right, Dwayne, that's going to do it for us on the Start Sit Show. Any final thoughts, questions? Again, last week. Okay. So as a review, I know I made this mistake last week when we got the announcement that Raheem Mostert or that Trey Sermon was going to be inactive. I incorrectly assumed that Raheem Mostert would get all of the work, and that could have been the case. But we should have thought that maybe we would have seen more of Elijah Mitchell or JaMychal Hasty anyway. I know I made that mistake. So I tried to think about that with Kenyon Drake scenario, where we do think Peyton Barber's probably going to get more run, like kind of John Gruden said. And then also Trey Regis is kind of an interesting guy that was good in the preseason. He might play a little bit more as well. So don't just assume Kenyon Drake is going to see this massive workload, especially with what we've already heard from John Gruden. Anything else to kind of keep an eye on for the inactives?
No, I mean, you've already named most of them. Like we've got the Colts receivers. I mean, just got to keep an eye on anything that we just haven't talked about.
JJ Taylor.
Sometimes, yeah.
If JJ
Taylor's active or not. It's not like you're going to go use him, but if you're in a deeper format and you see that in your waivers and you can go pick up and you've got somebody you can drop, JJ Taylor could be a nice player just to add to the end of your stash to the end of your bench. See what happens. You may just dump him next week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but yeah, be proactive. If
Van Jefferson, if he's available on your wire, I wouldn't let him get through this weekend. If there's a way that you can get him on your roster, just because if this Robert Woods thing continues and Jefferson truly is the field stretcher and a revamped offense for the Rams with Matt Stafford really just uncorking things, Jefferson could be a thing. So I would not let him make it into the weekend on your waiver wire if there's a way that you can make that work.
Agreed. I like Van Jefferson a lot. Cool. All right, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you go check out the PFF NFL show that I think is recording now and will be live at 11 a.m. So make sure you go check that out off pff.com. Check out the updated rankings. That will be all up to date with the inactives post 11:30 Eastern. We'll get those on as quickly as possible. And yeah, good luck to everybody. Do your late swaps in DFS, especially because all the high scoring games are in the later portion of the window. So just because you have a big lead in the early window doesn't assume you're going to keep it. So be active, late swap, and good luck to everybody. Dwayne, thanks again for joining.